Lucas Thompson had a morning ritual that most people would envy. Every day at 6:30 a.m., before his marine biology classes at UC Santa Barbara, he'd paddle out to Huntington Beach with his turquoise longboard, the one his dad gave him for his 18th birthday, decorated with a single sticker that read, "Protect our oceans." At 21 years old, Lucas was exactly where he wanted to be, studying something he loved, living near the water, surfing almost every day. His sun-bleached hair and permanent tan made him look like the quintessential California surfer, but his friends knew him for something deeper. Lucas was the guy who listened, the one who showed up when you needed help moving, who stayed up late talking you through a breakup, who organized beach cleanups on weekends. "The waves are being stingy today," Tyler Rodriguez called out, paddling his shortboard closer to Lucas. Ty had been Lucas's best friend since high school, a competitive surfer who always pushed for bigger waves and tighter turns. "Patience, grasshopper," Lucas grinned, lying back on his board, hands behind his head. "The ocean provides when she's ready." Emma Chen floated nearby on her board, camera hanging around her neck in a waterproof case. She was documenting their surf sessions for a photography project. "You sound like a fortune cookie, Lucas," she teased. "A very wise fortune cookie," Josh Kaplan added, strumming an imaginary ukulele on his board. JK was the most laid back of the group, working at a local surf shop and living the quintessential beach bum life. It was a perfect October morning. The water was calm, the sun was climbing higher, warming their shoulders. Small sets were rolling in, nothing impressive, but enough to make the wait worthwhile. They'd been out here for 40 minutes, just talking, laughing, enjoying the friendship that came from countless mornings, like this one. "Did you finish that research paper on coral bleaching?" Emma asked Lucas. "Turned it in yesterday," Lucas replied. "My professor loved it. I might actually get to do fieldwork in Hawaii next semester." "Bro, that's sick!" Ty splashed water at him. "You'll be surfing for science." "Living the dream," Lucas laughed. They fell into comfortable silence, the kind that only happens between people who truly know each other. The sound of distant waves, seagulls calling, the gentle rocking of their boards, everything was peaceful. Then, without warning, Lucas's expression changed. His hand went to his chest, his eyes widened slightly. "You okay, man?" Ty noticed immediately. Lucas opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. His face went pale, a strange sight on someone so perpetually tan. He tilted sideways, almost in slow motion, and slipped off his board into the water. "Lucas?" Emma called out, concerned but not yet alarmed. He didn't surface. "Dude, come on, stop playing," JK said, paddling closer to where Lucas had gone under. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. "Lucas!" Ty's voice had an edge now. He dove under, searching. Emma did the same. The water was murky from the morning churn. They couldn't see him. By the time they surfaced, gasping, a lifeguard's whistle was already blowing from shore. Someone had seen the commotion. What they didn't see, what they couldn't see, was Lucas rising back through the water moments later, breaking the surface and gasping for air. But when he looked around, everything felt different. Wrong. The water seemed lighter somehow, almost luminescent. His friends were nowhere in sight. "Guys," Lucas called out. "Ty, Emma?" Silence. Just the sound of waves. He looked towards shore and saw his turquoise longboard washing up on the sand. But there was something else there too. A growing crowd. Lifeguards running. Someone talking urgently into a radio. Lucas started swimming towards shore, confused. Why would they leave him out here? Was this some kind of prank? As he walked out of the water, dripping wet in his wetsuit, he expected someone, anyone, to turn and look at him, to explain what just happened. But no one did. People were gathering around something on the beach. Lucas pushed through the crowd, or tried to. People didn't move aside. They didn't even seem to notice he was there. Then he saw what they were all looking at. A young man in a wetsuit, turquoise longboard nearby. Lifeguards performing CPR. Emma crying. Ty on his phone, probably calling 911, his hands shaking. The young man's face was pale, lips blue. It was Lucas's face. "No," Lucas whispered. "No, no, no. That's not. I'm right here." He reached out to touch Ty's shoulder, but his hand passed through like mist. Lucas stumbled backward, his mind refusing to process what he was seeing. This had to be a dream. A weird, vivid dream. He'd wake up any second in his apartment, late for class, Tyler texting him to hurry up, but the scene didn't dissolve. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics took over from the lifeguards. Lucas watched them load his own body onto a stretcher, watched Emma collapse into Josh's arms, watched Ty punch the sand in frustration and grief. "I'm right here," Lucas screamed. "I'm right here." No one heard him. The ambulance drove away, lights flashing but no sirens. That was never a good sign. Lucas knew that. Everyone knew that. He stood on the beach, water dripping from his wetsuit that somehow didn't feel wet anymore, watching his friends console each other, watching his board get picked up and carried away, watching the crowd slowly disperse. And slowly, impossibly, Lucas began to understand what had happened. Lucas spent the next several hours in complete denial. It couldn't be real. He couldn't be dead. Dead people didn't think, didn't feel, didn't stand on beaches watching the sunset. And he was doing all of those things. Therefore, logic dictated he must be alive. Maybe it was a coma. Maybe he was in a hospital somewhere and this was all happening in his unconscious mind. That made sense? That was scientific. That was possible. He walked up and down Huntington Beach, trying to interact with anyone who would listen. Surfers paddling out. Families setting up umbrellas, joggers with their dogs. Nobody saw him. Nobody heard him. His hand passed through everything he tried to touch. As evening approached, Lucas found himself back at the spot where the morning had gone so wrong. The beach was emptying out, just a few people remaining to watch the sunset. That's when he noticed them, a small group sitting on the sand, watching the horizon with peaceful expressions. Something about them felt different. They had a quality Lucas couldn't quite define, a kind of translucence, like watercolor paintings come to life. "First day is always the hardest," a woman's voice said beside him. Lucas spun around. An elderly woman, maybe late 60s, with silver hair and kind eyes, stood there, really looking at him, seeing him. "You can see me," Lucas said, his voice cracking with relief. "I can," she smiled gently. "My name is Margaret. Most people call me Maggie. I'm Lucas. I think something really bad happened to me today." "I know, honey. I watched." Maggie gestured to the group on the sand. "We all did. You're not the first young person to cross over suddenly, and you won't be the last." "Cross over?" Lucas shook his head. "No, I can't be dead. Dead people don't stand around talking. Dead people don't feel sand under their feet." "Dead is such a limited word," Maggie said. "Your physical body stopped working, yes. But you, your consciousness, your soul, whatever you want to call it, you're very much alive. Just on a different frequency now." Lucas looked at his hands. They looked solid to him. Real. "This doesn't make sense." "It rarely does at first. Would you like to go somewhere we can talk? Somewhere with fewer questions and more answers?" "I need to go home," Lucas said. "My parents, they'll be worried. My sister, oh God, Lily, she's only 16. I can't." "They know, Lucas. The hospital would have called them by now." The words hit him like a physical blow. Lucas sank to his knees in the sand. No. I was supposed to take Lily to her homecoming dance next week. I promised I'd embarrass her with my dad jokes." Maggie knelt beside him. "I understand. The grief is real. The loss is real, but so is what comes next." "What comes next? What the hell comes next?" "Purpose," Maggie said simply. "Healing, understanding, and eventually, peace." Lucas wanted to argue, to rage against the unfairness of being 21 and watching the sunset without a body. But something in Maggie's eyes, a depth of compassion that suggested she'd been through this herself, made him listen. "Where do you want to take me?" he asked quietly. "To a place where people understand what you're going through, a spiritual center you might call it, a house where others who've crossed over come to learn, to heal, to help each other." "Like a church?" "More like a school, a community center, a refuge." Maggie stood and offered her hand. Lucas could see it was slightly translucent, just like those other people on the beach. When he looked at his own hand again, he realized with a shock that it was beginning to look the same way. He took Maggie's hand and she helped him to his feet. "One question," Lucas said. "Those people watching the sunset, are they all like us?" "Yes. Some crossed over decades ago and chose to stay here, helping others transition. Some are new, like you, trying to understand. The beach you loved in life becomes a comfort in death. or rather, in this new phase of existence. Lucas looked back at the water, at the waves rolling in endlessly. He'd surfed those waves since he was 12 years old. Every good memory he had was somehow connected to this beach. His first time standing up on a board, teaching Lily to surf, late-night bonfires with friends, studying for exams while sitting in the sand. "Can I come back here?" he asked. "After we go to this place you're talking about?" "Whenever you want," Maggie assured him. "You're not a prisoner, Lucas. You're just in transition." They walked away from the beach together, leaving footprints that faded almost immediately in the sand. As they moved through the streets of Huntington Beach, Lucas saw the town differently. The warm lights in windows weren't just lights. They were lives continuing. Families gathering for dinner, students doing homework, people living their ordinary, precious routines. He'd been part of that world this morning. Now he was something else, someone else. Maggie led him to a building he'd passed 100 times, a modest house with a sign that read Spiritist Center. He'd always vaguely wondered what went on inside, but never bothered to find out. "There are 2 of these," Maggie explained as they approached. "One in the physical world, where living people study Spiritist philosophy, and one here, in the spiritual dimension, where we who've transitioned continue our learning." "I don't understand any of this," Lucas admitted. "You will," Maggie promised. "That's why we're here." She opened the door and warm light spilled out into the twilight. Inside, Lucas could see people, spirits gathered in small groups, some reading, some in discussion, some simply sitting in quiet contemplation. It looked like any community center, except everyone there had the same translucent quality he was beginning to see in himself. A man looked up as they entered, his face breaking into a welcoming smile. "Another new arrival, Maggie?" "This is Lucas," Maggie introduced. "He crossed over this morning. Sudden cardiac event while surfing." The beach," the man nodded knowingly. "We got word. Welcome, Lucas. I'm David. No relation to the famous king." He joked gently. "Come in. You must have 1,000 questions." "More than 1,000, Lucas said, his voice small. "Well," David gestured to a comfortable-looking chair. "We have all the time in the world, or rather, all the time beyond the world. Let's start with the basics, shall we?" Lucas sat in that chair for what felt like hours, though time, he was learning, worked differently here. David and Maggie, along with several others who introduced themselves as longtime residents of the Spiritual Center, explained everything with infinite patience. "The first thing you need to understand," David began, "is that death is not an end. It's a transition. Think of it like moving to a different country. You're still you. Your memories, personality, values, all of that remains, but the environment has changed." "And my body?" Lucas asked. "I saw them take it away in an ambulance." "Your physical body was a vehicle," Maggie explained gently, "a temporary home for your consciousness. When it stopped functioning, you, the real you, simply stepped out of it, like getting out of a car that broke down." A younger spirit, maybe mid-30s, named Carlos, leaned forward. "I know it sounds crazy, man. I thought the same thing when I got here 6 months ago. Car accident. One second I'm driving home from work, next second I'm standing on the highway watching paramedics cover my body with a sheet." 6 months? Lucas looked at him. "You've been like this for 6 months?" "It's not as bad as you think," Carlos said. "Actually, it's better in some ways. No pain, no hunger, no exhaustion. And you get to do something meaningful." "Which is?" David answered that one. "Help others, guide confused spirits, learn about the nature of existence, prepare for your next incarnation." Lucas's head was spinning. "Next incarnation? Like reincarnation? That's real?" "As real as you and me sitting here," David smiled. "You've lived before, Lucas, many times, and you'll live again. Each life is a classroom, a chance to learn different lessons, to grow spiritually. But I don't remember any other lives. Most people don't while they're incarnated. It would be too confusing, too overwhelming. Imagine trying to focus on a calculus test while simultaneously remembering being a medieval peasant or an ancient Egyptian merchant. The veil of forgetfulness is actually a mercy," Maggie added. "But here, in the spiritual realm, memories begin to return. Eventually, you'll remember pieces of your previous lives. You'll understand the themes you've been working on. Lessons about love, forgiveness, courage, whatever your soul chose to learn. Lucas thought about his life, his short 21 years. So my life, it was planned? Me drowning today was planned? To an extent, David said carefully. Before you incarnated as Lucas Thompson, you, as a spirit, made certain choices. You chose your parents, your general life circumstances, the challenges you'd face. You even chose your exit point. I chose to die at 21. Lucas's voice rose with emotion. Why would I do that? We don't know your specific reasons, Maggie said gently. Only you can discover that through study and reflection. But often, young deaths serve a purpose. Perhaps your family needed to learn about grief and resilience. Perhaps you needed to experience a life of quality over quantity. Perhaps your real work, your mission, was always meant to happen here, in the spiritual realm. That stopped Lucas cold. My real work is here? David nodded. Many spirits who cross over young discover that their true calling is to help others who died suddenly. You understand their confusion because you lived it. You can relate to their fears because you felt them. That empathy makes you an excellent guide. Lucas thought about the morning, about his friends, about the confusion and terror he'd felt. Other people are going through what I went through. Every day, Carlos said. Accidents, sudden illnesses, violence. Lots of people die without any warning. And most of them spend days, weeks, sometimes months wandering around, confused and scared, before someone like Maggie finds them and brings them here. You could be one of those helpers, Maggie said. If you choose, no one will force you, but if you're willing to study, to learn about spiritual laws and how to communicate with confused spirits, you could make an enormous difference. Lucas looked around the room at these people, these spirits who had welcomed him with such kindness. They weren't demons or ghosts or anything scary. They were just people who happened to not have physical bodies anymore. What would I need to do? He asked. Study, David said. Learn about the Spiritist doctrine, the philosophical framework that helps us understand life, death, and reincarnation. Written by Allan Kardec in the 1800s, expanded by countless mediums and scholars since then. It's not a religion, exactly, more like a science of the spirit. Read the works of Chico Xavier, Maggie added, a Brazilian medium who psychographed hundreds of books with messages from spirits. His work illuminates so much about what happens after death. Attend our discussion groups, Carlos offered. Listen to other spirits' stories. Learn from those who've been here longer, and eventually, when you're ready, go out and help someone who's where you were this morning, scared, confused, and desperately needing someone who understands. Lucas felt something shift inside him, a sense of purpose he hadn't expected to feel. He thought about Ty, Emma, and Josh, how lost they'd looked on the beach. How much worse would it be to be lost in death, with no one to explain, no one to help? I'll do it, he said. I'll study. I'll learn. I'll help. Maggie smiled, and Lucas could see genuine pride in her eyes. I knew you would. You had that helper energy even in life, didn't you? Lucas thought about all the times he'd stayed up late talking friends through their problems, all the beach cleanups he'd organized, how he'd wanted to be a marine biologist so he could protect the oceans for future generations. Yeah, he'd always been a helper. When do I start? He asked. Right now, if you want, David said, standing and moving to a bookshelf. Let's begin with the basics. The Book of Spirits by Allan Kardec. Consider it Spiritual Existence 101. As David handed him a book, and yes, somehow books existed here, solid and real despite being in a non-physical realm, Lucas felt something he didn't expect. Hope. His physical life had ended at 21, but his spiritual life, his real life, was apparently just beginning. And maybe, just maybe, this was what he'd been preparing for all along. 3 months passed in the spiritual realm. Lucas divided his time between intense study at the Spiritist Center and visits to Huntington Beach. Watching the waves, watching his friends surf without him. He learned about the structure of spiritual dimensions, multiple levels, from lower realms where troubled spirits dwelled to higher planes where advanced souls worked on cosmic problems. He learned about reincarnation as precise spiritual technology, spirits choosing their next lives to learn specific lessons. And he learned about mediumship, how certain living people could perceive spiritual beings and receive their messages. Most importantly, Lucas learned how to help. His first mission came 6 weeks after his transition. A teenage girl named Sofia, killed in a car accident, sat crying in a hospital corner. She couldn't understand why nurses ignored her questions, why her mother couldn't hear her saying, "I'm okay, Mom, I'm right here." Lucas approached slowly, remembering his own terror on the beach. "Hey, I know this is confusing. I know you're scared, but I'm here to help." Sofia reminded him of Lily, same age, same vulnerability. Lucas spent hours explaining what had happened, walking her through the lessons he'd learned. By the end, she was calm enough to meet other guides to begin her own journey. "You're good at this," Maggie told him. "You have genuine compassion." Lucas went on more missions: a construction worker, an elderly stroke victim, a young mother desperate to know if her baby survived. Each case tore at his heart but filled him with purpose. He was making a real difference. Between missions, Lucas visited his family. His parents had aged visibly, grief etched into every line. His mom visited his grave twice weekly. His dad threw himself into work. But Lily was hardest to watch, withdrawn from friends, quit swimming, spent hours in his room. "I wish I could tell them I'm okay," Lucas said to Maggie one evening. "Maybe you can," Maggie said. "There are mediums who can receive messages from spirits." Lucas had learned about mediums but never considered it for himself. "That's really possible?" "You've been here 3 months. You've studied hard, helped numerous spirits. The spiritual benefactors might approve of communication, especially considering how young you were, how suddenly you left." That night, Lucas prayed more sincerely than ever. He explained his family's grief, Lily withdrawing from life, how a message might help them heal. He promised to continue helping confused spirits. He asked humbly, simply hoping. 2 weeks later, Maggie brought news. "Your request is approved. There's a medium in Santa Barbara named Patricia. She'll attempt contact tomorrow evening. You'll send a letter, psychographed through her hand." Lucas felt nervous excitement. "What should I say?" "Whatever is in your heart," Maggie said. "Truth and love." The next evening, Lucas stood beside Patricia in the physical Spiritist Center. She couldn't see him, but she sensed his presence. Her mind felt like an open door. "Lucas Thompson?" she said softly. "I'm ready." Lucas began communicating, not in words, but in thoughts, impressions, feelings. Patricia's hand moved across paper, writing in handwriting that wasn't quite his, wasn't quite hers, something in between. He wrote about being okay, about the beautiful place where he was learning and growing, about watching over them. He wrote to Lily specifically. Go back to swimming, go to dances, live the life he couldn't. Then he wrote something surprising. "My death wasn't random. It was part of my soul's plan. I came to that beach knowing I'd leave it that morning. My work isn't finished, it's just beginning. I'm helping others who died young, who need someone to explain what I now understand. This is what I was always meant to do." He wrote about still surfing. The spiritual realm had oceans, beaches, waves that responded to consciousness. He'd made new friends, continued his passion, found joy even in death. "I love you all, I miss you, but I'm not gone, just on a different shore, catching different waves, waiting for the day we meet again." When finished, Patricia opened her eyes and wept quietly. "It's beautiful. Your family will cherish this." 3 days later, Lucas watched as Patricia visited his parents' home. She'd called ahead explaining she was a medium with a message from their son. His mother had said simply, "Please come, we'll listen to anything." Grief made people open to possibilities they'd normally dismiss. The family gathered in the living room. His parents, Lily and Tyler. Patricia sat across from them, letter in hand. "I'm a psychographic medium," Patricia began gently. "I believe I received a genuine communication from Lucas. Whether you believe that is up to you. I'm simply the messenger." Lucas's mother nodded, already crying. His father held her hand tightly. Patricia began reading. Lucas watched his family's faces as they heard his words, words from beyond death. His mother covered her mouth. His father's jaw clenched with emotion. Lily stared at the letter like it held the universe's secrets. When Patricia reached the part about his death being part of his spiritual plan, his father interrupted. How could he plan to die at 21? Spiritist philosophy teaches that souls choose each incarnation, Patricia said gently. Lucas is telling you his life, however short, accomplished what it needed to accomplish. So he died on purpose? Lily's voice was sharp with pain. At a soul level, before incarnating, he knew this life would be brief. And he's saying that's okay. Lucas wanted to hug his sister so badly it hurt. Patricia continued. When she reached the part about Lucas helping other spirits, his mother spoke. He was always helping people, even as a little boy. Of course he's still doing that. Even dead, he's taking care of others, Tyler said, voice thick. That's so Lucas. The letter's final section, about still surfing, still being happy, still loving them, cracked something open in the family. Lily sobbed into her mother's shoulder. His father let tears fall silently. Can he hear us? His mother asked. He's likely here right now, Patricia said. Spirits attend when their letters are read. Speaking to him, at his grave, in prayers, out loud, he receives it all. Lucas's mother looked around the room, eyes not quite finding him. Lucas, baby, if you're here, we love you. We miss you every single day. But if you're really okay, really helping people, she gathered strength. Then we'll try to be okay too. Lily spoke next, voice small. I'll go back to swimming, I promise. And I'll go to prom. You're still my annoying big brother. She laughed through tears. Lucas wanted to tell her, yes, I'll be there. Yes, I'm proud. But the letter had already said what needed to be said. As the family talked and cried together, Lucas felt something shift. They were healing, not healed. That would take time, but healing. Knowing he still existed made the loss bearable. After Patricia left, Lily pulled out her swim schedule, circling the next practice. His dad called a grief counselor. His mom started cooking real dinner. Life was slowly, tentatively, beginning again. Lucas returned to the spiritual center feeling lighter. Maggie was waiting, smiling. How did it go? Better than I hoped. They believed it, or at least they're open to it. That's enough. Good. You have work tomorrow. Maggie handed him a clipboard. Teenage boy, drowned at Malibu. Confused, angry, scared. Sound familiar? Lucas looked at the name. Marcus Chen, 17. Yeah, very familiar. Then go help him. You know exactly what he's feeling. As Lucas prepared for his next mission, he thought about his strange journey. Dead at 21, yet more alive than ever. His physical life had been good, but his spiritual life, this work, this purpose, this ability to make a real difference was extraordinary. He lost his physical body but gained something precious, the knowledge that life continues, that death is just a doorway, that love transcends every boundary. And yeah, he still served. The spiritual realm had oceans that responded to thought, waves that never closed out, an endless summer. He made new friends, spirits from different eras, all drawn together by their love of the sea. Last week, he'd caught a perfect barrel, feeling more alive in death than he sometimes had in life. His mom had asked in the letter if he was happy. He hadn't been able to answer then, but he could now. Yeah, Mom, I'm happy, I'm surfing, I'm helping people. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and someday, when your time comes, I'll be there on the shore, waiting. I'll teach you to surf. The water's perfect here, always has been, always will be. Until then, I'll keep catching waves and helping lost souls find their way home. Lucas Thompson, 21 years old, forever young, forever a surfer, forever a helper. The ocean provides, always. What did you think of Lucas's letter from the afterlife? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to What? I'm Dead and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching. Until next time.